What do you think that commitment to Duffy's comes from?
I think just wanting the people to feel at home. Leave your worries at the door, because there's a lot of worries down here. Come in, and I want to see them relax, enjoy, and have a smile.
Welcome to the Set Apart Podcast, and I hope we go viral, but right now we're only getting a couple hundred views, but it's okay. We are going to keep rolling, and today we have somebody that I care a lot about, somebody that I have grown knowing, somebody that has grown mentoring me. I think that your son was probably one of the first people that taught me how to fish, and which doesn't say much, but he tried his best. And somebody that I grew up really caring for and admiring. So I'm happy to have Wayne Russel here. He's the owner of Duffy's Tavern here in Miami on 57th and almost Coral Way. And not to be confused with Duffy's Bar and Grill. There's
Duffy's Sports Grill.
Yes, Duffy's Sports.
There's 30 of them in the state of Florida.
But there's only one Duffy's Tavern.
A little bit of love there.
Wayne, thanks for being on the show. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for inviting me.
You're always at the restaurant, so I'm sure that there's chaos happening right now while you're here.
I hope not, but things seem to run a little better when I'm there, and you're there to put out the fire.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about that. But before we do, tell me a little bit more about you. Where were you born? Parents? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, born in old Philadelphia with Rocky. Hey, cut me, Mick, I can't see. Yeah, my dad was in Fort Lauderdale High School when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, and he was like, what am I going to do? So he enlisted and was flying Stearman in Belgrade, and then he got on a B-24, went all the way over to China, came back, went to U of M on the GI Bill. 46 to 50 was in the band of the hour, and with a lot of other old judges and whatnot, are musical, and the problem is, when you graduate the School of Music, which he was in, money's a little tight. So his other love was the railroad, and the Pennsylvania Railroad picked him up, and he ended up in Philadelphia.
Wow.
And then I came into the picture. I was the third one born, I think the forgotten one. You know, the first baby's always like China. Mm-hmm. The second one's plastic, and then there's me stuck on the floor in a corner. My one sister's 11 years older, my other one's 7 years older, and then, Mom, I think I was a mistake. She goes, yes, you were. But then when I'm getting ready to graduate at high school, you know, it's no big deal. I'm just getting older. And my dad's like, where are you going to college? I don't know. Lehigh, Lafayette. I'll be an engineer. He says, go to the University of Miami. Where I went, I was like, Miami, Florida? That's where the Jewish girls go in my high school at Christmas break, and they come back nice and tan. I said, I think I'll try that.
Yeah.
And it was Suntan U.
Suntan U. And how was that experience coming from the good old cold to the Miami warm weather?
Wow, it was amazing. Yeah, I couldn't believe my first year. It's the beginning of December, and I'm wearing flip-flops, walking across campus. I joined the Pi Kappa Alpha fraternity house, so it's like right on the edge of campus. So you walked everywhere you went. And then talking to my friends up north, you know, they're bundled up and all that stuff. I think that was the big thing.
What did you study there?
Business, and a minor in beer.
There's a couple of minor beers here at John Bell. How did you meet your wife?
Wow. Working at Duffy's, 1984, 85, 86. Her father was coming in, and his wife would wait in the car while he came in. It was a little smokier back then, and you'd have your drink. And, you know, back in New York where they're from, a lot of women didn't go into bars. I didn't realize it at the time, but he invited me to go to an Easter dinner with a family. I wasn't going to Marco to see my mom and dad. And I think he was playing Cupid, and Debbie was there. And then a couple months later, we got together, and I took her to the Elks Club eggnog party. I think that was one of the clinchers. And then we went in the Duffmobile to Fox's Lounge, where it gets a little dark. And before you know it, we were married through Duffy's, I guess. Yeah, and the father was playing Cupid.
Wow. So did you were you the sole owner of Duffy's at that time?
No, managing it to own it.
Oh, you're managing to own it.
And meanwhile, the land goes into bankruptcy, and we were almost gone.
So is that how you got into the restaurant business?
No, when I was at U of M, I was working at Monty's in the kitchen. You know, the old Monty's. They since tore it down, but there were 17 friolators, 17 waitresses. You learned to cook real quick, or you were gone. And, and they paid you a little bit anyway back then.
So, did you ever think that when you're walking into Monty's, you know, going to UM, that you were going to be in the restaurant business?
Probably not, because when I graduated, I took a job with Enterprise Rent-A-Car, which was a young company then. Maybe if I'd stayed with them, I'd be on Star Island right now, but I didn't have a fond belonging of the hierarchy and them not doing anything and us doing everything, which is, I guess, normal when you're in college.
Yeah.
And then when I got the chance to manage Duffy's, the buck stops here. There's no one to blame for anything, so let's run with it. Until it went into bankruptcy, then the land, and that's where my father-in-law came in, and I think Duffy's would be here today if he didn't put the money up for the land and the business. And then he told me, if I'm going to do this, you need to marry my daughter. I thought, that's good Old Testament stuff. Unblemished calf and some flour. And
that was my next point. I wanted to talk about you know, Jimmy and the relationship that you guys have. A lot of people think that his name is Wayne, and a lot of people think that he's your dad. He's not.
Yeah.
His name is Jimmy. Jim.
Yeah.
And he's your father-in-law. What is this? What has the business throughout the years meant having him as your partner?
Well, you learn a lot because he was getting 25 cents an hour washing dishes. He's been in the business now 74 years. He's 86. And I think back in the day when you make soup, you make it from scratch. And you make this and that from scratch. And when you're in the restaurant business, you don't want food to go into the trash can. You want to make something out of that. And he was born in Brooklyn, and if you're not going fast in Brooklyn, you're getting run over. So, and he retired at 55, and there's only so much golf he can do, and he still loves the business.
And I called this morning, and I said, Wayne? He goes, no, it's Jimmy. And I said, Jimmy, what are you doing there? He says, oh, just passing by, you know.
No, he was making soup this morning, of
really?
course. And the sauces.
And he's 86.
Our kitchen's very small.
And he's 86 years old.
86, yeah. October 87.
Amazing. Your commitment to Duffy's is like anything I've ever seen. I don't think that me or my family, you know, anybody that loves Duffy's or been there a couple times has ever seen a restaurant with the commitment to serve Duffy's. You know, I always say that John Bell Construction is its own person. It's almost like it's like another wife.
Exactly. It's like my daughter.
Yeah, and it's very demanding. It's very selfish. It has its good days, and it has its bad days, like any type of relationship. Your commitment to Duffy's throughout the years has been unparalleled, but if anything, it's been extremely consistent. What do you think that commitment to Duffy's comes from?
I think just wanting the people to feel at home. Leave your worries at the door, because there's a lot of worries down here. Come in, and I want to see them relax, enjoy, and have a smile. And I just walk around, and good food helps. We're not the greatest food in the world. Good food, good service, and a decent price. And
Yeah,
if you
good
can
food,
do
great
that,
service.
Yeah, well, now I would almost put service on top, because people tell me when they go to restaurants nowadays, you know, their waiters in the corner playing with their phone or talking to somebody.
But it doesn't happen when honestly the owner of the business is there and somebody that's as committed as you and Jimmy are there.
When the cat's away, the wife will play. But I have a lot of employees that have been there 30 years, 20 years, 15 years.
And we're going to talk about them because I think that a lot of the success that Duffy's has, obviously, is from you and Jimmy and your family, but a lot of it has to do with the employees that clock in and day out daily. The time that you spend there, there's some days that I go to work and it's 6:45 and you're moving a keg, from one place to the other, and I beep at you and you give me the one finger salute.
Yeah.
And then I'm coming, I call you to take an order for takeout, and it's 8:00 at night and you're picking up the phone. You also you live very close. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think you know this, but I live 1 block away from here. And one of the reasons that I live so close to home is because I have seen that the service that you offer at Duffy's and the service that I want to offer at John Bell can only be done by two things. One is constantly being there, and two is being with your family and your wife as much as you can, even if it's for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the amount of time that you spend there still?
It needs to be done to keep Duffy's going. I mean,
I mean, you could have hired somebody.
there's only so much you can put up with a wife, too. I mean,
Yeah, that's true. But you could have hired a manager, and you could have, there's a lot of things that you could have hired that other restaurants do.
yeah, but with two owners, the pie gets a little thinner. And we interviewed managers at one point, and the money they wanted and what was going to get out of them, it just annoyed us. So I want to be happy when I go to work. And if I got to work, I work. And
Yeah, I don't think you're scared of working. Where do you think
No.
where do you think that comes from? Where did you get your work ethic from?
I guess, my parents, well, they were always working. My dad was a railroad guy. He was on the 7 in the morning to a 3 o'clock shift for a couple of days, then 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 11 o'clock at night, so I wouldn't see him then. And then he was on the 11 o'clock at night to the 7 in the morning shift, and he was always going and providing. But
Yeah, they're always my parents play a big role in that, so I can definitely see that. And
yeah,
one of the things we were talking about before was the employees. The service that you provide, but the service that the Julios of the world provide.
that's one of our better waiters, Julio.
Can you talk about the expectation of somebody that works at Duffy's and the service that they're required to provide?
I think I don't interview people that much because I said we got a lot of people that have been a long time, but it's attitude. And if you don't know anything about the business, but you have a great attitude, I'm with you. I'm on board. And I mean, we're not doing brain surgery. We're just making people smile or try to make them smile.
Well,
So-
I think it's crazy that you're saying we're in the business of making people smile, and you own a restaurant, and I think that has I think it has a lot to do to the reason why. We did our wedding rehearsal dinner there.
That's true.
We've done company parties there.
Yeah.
I remember, leaving St. Teresa and coming to have lunch with Wayne there. I feel like almost all the important events in my life have happened there.
It's a lot. Every day, every week, whether it's a wake or a christening. And I love it because it's family. I mean, you don't see much of that anymore. I think, in old time America, this is one of the gathering places. And
Yeah, it's definitely a staple.
And you don't want idiots to come in because there's idiots everywhere, and you want to nip it in the bud as soon as you can and let people enjoy, whether it's a 10-minute meal or a half-an-hour meal, or not even a meal, it's a couple drinks, and let them enjoy and relax and leave the worries at the door.
Yeah, I remember coming from school and fishing with Junior, and we walking in there and getting a grouper sandwich. How was your kids meant to you, and the support that they have for Duffy's? Because I see obviously your son a lot more than but they both love the business. Like it's not.
Well, if they love the business, they would want the keys.
Well, we're gonna talk about that soon.
But they don't want the keys.
Well, we're going to talk about that because, we'll talk about that now. Yeah, you're going to need a sip. Talk to me about your kids.
They're wonderful. I mean, I don't think we were that tough on them or anything, but they're just workers. I think brains skip generations, so they got the brains. I didn't have the brains. So my son's a lawyer, and my daughter's a doctor. But he just had a baby, so if I can hang out long enough, I know she would want the keys.
Yeah, in 25 years, she might take the business from you.
Yeah, but they see the hours I put in.
And how has it been juggling running the business and the amount of time spent? Because I think you probably work, I probably work 70, 80 hours a week, and I only work Monday through Friday, so you work 7 days a week. I would say you probably work 100 hours a week. How has that impacted your relationship with your kids and your wife, and how have you navigated through that?
It's just strange because when you have the kid, somehow you have more time to be around, it seems. And the business was running and, teaching or coaching baseball with him. I always found time to do that in the afternoon and then taking them here and there. We always took a vacation in the summer and a vacation in the winter. Basically, that was it, but they know where to come. And
If somebody were to be opening a business or running a business and they have a wife and they have kids, what do you think it's something that they should focus on so that both the business and the family can be well served?
My wife is still a little part of the business, and the kids are really. They grew up there, and that's why I think when you grow up in the bar atmosphere and the restaurant atmosphere, my son saw different people and my daughter who to stay away from and who to talk to and stuff like that. It's
Yeah, they definitely grew up very well rounded from the beginning.
yeah. I don't know. It's in your heart.
How much do you love Duffy's?
I'm ready to go. 40 years, that's enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at the old pictures and it's nice, but
It's a lot.
it's time. Yeah.
10 years ago, if I were to ask you the same question, how much do you love Duffy's? Or even 20 years, 30
It
years.
ain't for sale. Go away. It don't bother me. I'm plowing right along here. My dream was when I took over in '84 was to buy like the property next to me, not to be a glutton or anything, but to put in a butcher shop and the baker and let the people have their own small business and run them. And I would sell the goods at Duffy's. And someone says, "Hey, wow, that's a great burger." I said, "Next door, Bob the baker," and stuff like that. But never really transpired. But
It was the idea.
yeah, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. You can get them all right here at Duffy's Tavern. And it would be a mom and pop running it because there were mom and pops everywhere back in the day. And now, see, my dad was a railroad man. And he says, "Son, yes, Dad, don't forget this. The railroads built this country before highways and planes came along." And now I tell him, "Dad, mom and pops built this country until Walmart and CVS and super malls came along." So I don't know where we are with that, but let's keep it going.
What do you think drove you? What do you think drove you to sell, and to want to sell the business and to retire?
I wrote a list. I should have brought it with me.
I think you had told me about that,
maybe-
right? The pros and cons. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I did. And I sat down maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago and said, what do I really like and what is bothering me here? And what is bothering me here started to outweigh what I like. And I mean, we got sued by ADA back in 1999, American Disabilities Act, by Joe Wheelchair. I'm like, and I called when I got the lawsuit in my hand. I'm like, who's Joe Wheelchair? And they're like, "Oh, no, he had a problem when he was in your place." I'm like, "I'm here all the time." And there were pictures of the bathroom in this lawsuit. I said, "Somebody came in and took pictures of our bathroom." We and the Hilton were the only ones that get sued. And I showed one of the judges that were coming in. We had a lot of judges come in, and he says, "Wayne, you better carry them the $5,000. You'll buy him more time." And then the next day he came back and says, "No, Wayne, if you take care of what needs to be done with this lawsuit, they don't get anything." I said, "Let's do it." So $100,000 later, we pulled 21 variances, and they let us build out to our property line, made the bathrooms bigger, which in the long run was probably better. So, and then I got another lawsuit from dog fraud's another thing that bothers me. Is it a service dog or not a service dog? I know service dogs. They come in, they sit under your table. But these people, and you can't ask them any questions. It's the only thing you can ask them, I believe, is what service does your dog provide? And people are. I love dogs, but I don't like dogs in my restaurant because they shed, and they want a bowl of water. I'm like, did you water the dog before you came? And then the hair gets in the water, and they tromp it around. It gets in the air conditioner, it gets in the food. And then I got sued by an emotional dog because I didn't put water on the table for the dog. I'm like, the dog shouldn't be on the table.
Really?
Yeah, that's fizzled out. And then we've had other
So it just gets
little
tiring.
lawsuits, and I just think between the insurance companies and lawyers, I think the lawyers are looking for something to go wrong in a business that has insurance, and then they tighten the screws with a crazy estimate on what it's going to cost. And, they battle out the lawyers on both sides. And after time, the insurance company says, let's just settle this.
Yeah.
You know what we're going to do? We'll just raise everybody's rates. Come on.
Yeah,
I mean, our liquor liability insurance rate is quadrupled. I mean,
it's hard to run a business.
It's a lot of beer and burgers.
It's a lot. It's hard to run a business.
Yeah. And there's other little things, but I always like to be cheerful. So
I think you are. You do an incredible job of turning around people's day and being sincere to them and really making, because I know you don't know this, but we eat other places other than Duffy's, and when we go to other places, there's very few places in Miami. In Mago La Frita, which is a small mom and pop's place there that they sell fritas. And Mago provides great service. You provide great service.
We're the same way. We're our family. There's usually a list of 6 places.
And he's always there.
Where are we going? And we'll go there to eat because we know the service is going to be good and the food is going to be good.
One of the things here at John Bell that I really hope that we can get there, and we are working towards, because it takes time. Duffy's has been open for over half a decade.
It was open when I got there.
Yeah, exactly.
I was struggling, but I had at least an open business. You opened it from scratch.
The legacy for me is super important. Being able to create the legacy is one thing, but continuing a legacy is another.
Yeah. I'm not worried about that.
You're not worried about the legacy, like.
It would be nice to keep it going and open. This is what the new owners think they're going to do, but it's worldly things.
Does it bother you? Does it hurt you? Does it?
No. At my age, I'm looking for building treasures in heaven, and you start here doing that because we're only here for a little while. I mean,
yeah.
Come on, do unto others.
Well, I'm going to ask you a couple more difficult questions, and then we'll get to happier questions. The amount of time that you have spent at Duffy's, away from your family, away from a lot of things. Do you regret the amount of time? Like, do you think that I should, as a business owner and other business owners, say, hey, I regret the 100 hours I spent, for the last 40 years at this business. Is that something that you would tell me, hey, Oscar, don't work so hard. At the end of the day, you might have to sell the whole place and John Bell just stops.
Yeah, no, I mean, if things are crumbling around you, your immediate family and friends and your wife or someone's addicted, or in my business, you could drink yourself into the ground. But that really never took place, and the wife has been happy. It starts there, and I don't say I'm proud of the hours I put in. Could I do more for the kingdom of God, like walk the streets and hand out flyers if I wasn't working? But I like to think I was doing work inside.
No, I definitely think you were.
What
were you looking for in a buyer? Were you just looking for the person that you can sell it to the most?
Well, like I said, I'm ready. So I'm ready. Whatever happens. But ideally, I'd love to find the guy that wanted to keep Duffy's going. And there were a lot of groups that, Wayne, I had my first beer when I was 15. You can't sell it. I said, I'm trying to find the right person to fit in. And I said the Hail Mary, and this guy showed up. It's not over yet, but.
And how's the feedback been with people? Like,
you can't sell it. You can't go in. What
do you tell them? Here are the keys.
It's America still. Can I do what I want to do? I mean,
yeah, it reminds me of what everybody telling me to have the second child. Like if they're gonna, because at the end of the day, it's your life, it's your health, it's your marriage, it's and like you say, nothing here we're taking with us, and it's all temporary, and just so many people. We love Duffy's, and
that's what I guess really hurts her. But I have a feeling I'll be hanging around, and they're going to want me to hang around. But as things go by, you slowly sneak out the back door. You ever go to a funeral of a 99-year-old? There's like 4 cars in front of the church. You go to a funeral for a 33-year-old, that place is packed.
Yeah.
So I've been in the limelight for a while now, but once you slowly slip off, you.
What are your favorite memories at Duffy's?
Favorite memories? Well, I don't know. Just the daily business of seeing a person smile and laugh. And I try to do that every day because I know they've enjoyed. They left their worries at the door, and then when they go back out the door, they're like, where are my worries? That's all right. That's what we try to do.
Beer helps a little bit too, but
Beer, yeah, to a certain point. Yeah, a little bubbly.
yeah.
Yeah, well, that's biblical too.
You know, the one of the things other than having to pay cash at Duffy's that we remember it for is you know, it's almost like a museum. You know, there's so much memorabilia.
Yeah,
There's a lot of things on the walls. You know, so many years. I feel like people have been giving you things there forever. It's like, you know,
You sold the tables lately, right?
yeah,
I had a box of pictures in my office that, you know, somebody my age, I don't know about you because it's all on your phone. The box of pictures in the office, I'm like, what am I going to do with these things? So I sanded the tables down, glued the pictures there, and then poured the epoxy over them. So all the memories are out there, and I have an empty box.
If Duffy's were to burn down tomorrow, which is the piece of that memorabilia or that museum that you will make sure you walk out with?
You can't imagine the people telling me lately because I hear that I'm selling, pointing at different things. I want this back. I want that. I want this. And even though it's not theirs. Me personally, I made a table of the family, and I go back to Jimmy when he was a little kid, and I have all the pictures on my side of the family. So I'll let the grandkids fight over that later. I don't know.
I have
A little bit of.
my family has a picture there, and I don't know if I want it back. I almost feel like it should. I feel like it, like we said at the beginning of this. You know, a business is a very selfish establishment, and it requires a lot. And I think that as long as those four walls are up, I think that everybody's things should stay in there until it's not. And then
Exactly.
you
People
know.
were wanting something off the wall today. I said,
No.
I'll let you have it if you make a copy of it and bring it back. Because it was the 1994 Frisbee and champion team from Miami that won something. And I called another guy who was on the team. He says, no, you can let him take it. He can make a picture or two out of it and make sure it goes right back on that spot on the wall. I said, okay. I don't want to mess up your karma.
Yeah, I don't think anybody should be taking that.
And then we have the outside sitting, and people are bringing me all kinds of crazy stuff. I call it crap. People go, wow, this is neat. What all this stuff? I said, yeah, people give me their crap and they want me to hang it up. So,
How did that start? When you were there, were things already on the wall?
there was just the horses, the Clydesdales above the front door, and some pennants.
That's it.
That's it.
And what do you think? How did that start? It was just a frame?
No, I took a picture of somebody and I blew it up. There's a lot of old regulars back in the 80s that had fought in World War II or the Great Depression, and I still got them in the tables, and they're all gone now. Wow. Seems like I just started there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, just time after time. And people want, if I have your picture in a booth, you're like a pigeon. Every time you come in, you go to that booth because your picture's in that booth.
Yeah.
All that stuff makes a little difference.
When I go there and I see my family and I see...
Hey, you are in a booth, aren't you?
Yeah, I am in a booth. And I see our picture. Well, first of all, I love that it's there. And people always, I'd say at least once a year, somebody sends me a text and they say, hey, I saw you at Duffy's, or they'll send me a picture. And I see how young I was, and I see, I can remember me being there with my family, taking that picture. How have you seen Duffy's? Because we said something before about how they used to be like, you could smoke in there.
Oh, wow.
To now where, how have you seen Duffy's from the time that you have started to now evolve?
Two pool tables, foosball machines, cigarette smoke, you could cut it with a knife, a jukebox, if you bumped into it, the record would skip. And nobody got hurt back then, but it was, I don't think it was too crazy, but it was just the way places were. And I always wanted to, our saying is we're the meat to eat. And I always wanted to change it to grandma and kid friendly. And is that bad or good? But we've done that. It's grandma and kid friendly now. And, no more smoking, of course. And after that went through, everybody wanted to have a Duffy burger back in the day. But you could walk in the front door and go out the back door, and you smell like an ashtray. And then as soon as that law kicked in effect, the food sales took off.
Really?
Last month we were 62% food, and you look at the place and you think it's a gin joint. We're only 25% beer and 11%, alcohol, like booze.
And the rest is food.
Yeah, I worry about people drinking too much, and sometimes I think about getting rid of or closing earlier at night because not everybody makes the right decision.
Yeah. And that's so tough about the business. Some days I walk in there, and I'll be honest with you, and I think I can speak for a lot of people. The way you handle a lot of those situations, you'll never go in there and never feel uncomfortable. And it's like if problems don't exist. But getting to know you a little later, then I realized it was fires. You just didn't see them. And
I try to.
To handle owning a bar where people sometimes don't know their limit, and I think it's something that really sets you apart. The way you really, and you're talking about.
I'm the bottom line. The buck stops here.
Yeah, but I also feel
like to blame.
But I also feel that before you had talked about how well, first of all, we're trying to store our treasures in heaven, and there's a lot more that we can do for the kingdom, and how you can only hope that you could have served his kingdom through working there. And I feel that if somebody were to see you, I think that they can see Christ through you and the things
that's what you try to do. I mean, if you're not out on the streets, just let the Holy Spirit flow from you where people can feel it. And I get that feeling sometimes,
Well, I think you definitely.
And it's pretty. It's been in 40 years. I probably raised my voice or had to touch somebody a handful of times. You can always talk things out. I mean, he was the king of peace. He was here.
Yeah.
He didn't get too rowdy. He just spoke.
Except that one time at the market where he flipped all the tables.
No, that was in his church. I mean,
yeah, he was upset there.
When they filmed a Rocky, where they filmed a Stallone movie in the church, Little Flower, I was like, how could they do that?
Yeah.
And then when I saw the film, I was like, oh, God wasn't in the church at that time. So you can do that? Oh, whatever. I'm a mere pimple ass.
Wayne, I remember the amount of times that we've been there, that we celebrated St. Patrick's Day. Those were. I know that those days were difficult for you because there's a lot of liability. There's a lot of people drinking. People are outside the walls and they're out essentially in the streets. But we and I really appreciate you having those days for us. I know that the last couple of years we didn't have it because it's just a lot, And sometimes it's not worth it. People think that you make a killing off that.
No.
And you'd always. I asked you this year. I said, "Why didn't you do it?" You said, "I don't make any money off those things."
Yeah. You make some, but it's just. I don't think it was St. Patrick had in mind for his birthday. It was green beer and throw up. So.
But when we.
And we don't shine that day. We're Duffy's, where we can go to the table, we talk, we give you good food, and that day it's just bedlam. So if anybody comes for the first time to Duffy's Tavern and they see that, they're like, oh, this place stinks. And that's what I don't want it to do.
Yeah.
But a lot of people that go there, understand. We're busy, they have their green beer, and they do their stuff. But there's a handful of people that's their first time there, and the service isn't where it should be. And the food, so.
When I told my mom that you're coming on the podcast and my family, they're.
I owe your dad a Marlins neon, by the way. I still have it.
No, you don't owe us anything. I think that I think we owe you a lot.
Nah.
So.
Just doing my job. Trying to keep people happy. One day at a time.
Well, I think you did that.
Tried to, yeah.
So we really appreciate it. We really care about you. You've done so much for us.
Yeah, if I can do a little bit, I see you saw something in me and work ethic, and it looks like you're doing it now. It runs from one to the next, and instead of playing with their phone in the corner, or, geez, the woke people that come in sometimes, I'm like, oh, my God. They eat a half of their whatever, and this stinks. What can I do? The lettuce isn't even green. Can I get you green lettuce? No, they just want to.
Yeah,
I said, you know what? I'm buying. Sorry about that. Have a good day.
Listen, I don't know if I should say it here, but I don't think I've paid last year. One of the reasons I've stopped going is every time I go there, I don't know, I just haven't paid it in a while.
Yeah, I like to buy it because you're going to build me the house on Star Island.
I can't wait to build you something, and I hope that whoever buys the building preserves it as much as they can.
That's what they're talking about. That's what we hope.
So, and I hope that we have an opportunity to maybe expand, using John Bell. It would mean a lot to us. And from everybody in the neighborhood, everybody in the town, and all the kids, grandmothers, and nuns, we really appreciate everything you did. And I think you did a great job of leading your family through it. And, the best times of our life were there, and they'll never be forgotten.
Thank you.
You got it.
That's what I tried to do.
Yeah. Well, I promised myself I wasn't going to cry today, but that didn't go so well. And
Almost.
I almost went through it. It just, at the end of the day, I put myself in his position. This business is my life, and I spend so much time doing it. And
yours is more crazier than mine, I would think, except for the Well, you have the liability part too.
Yeah, I know, but we aren't drinking alcohol at least during the day, just during the podcast.
As far as you know.
Yeah, exactly. As far as I know. So, but it means a lot to us, and doesn't matter how doesn't matter what we have here on earth. It doesn't really matter all the money we've made and the buildings we've had. Here at John Bell and at Duffy's, we believe that our treasures are stored in heaven, and our ultimate goal is to serve Christ and live through Him. And we hope that we can always do that here at John Bell, and I know that Duffy's has, and we hope that it will for years to come. So appreciate you. I appreciate your son. I appreciate your wife and Jimmy and everybody there.
Thank you.
You guys are loved, and we hope to catch you guys on the next one.
God bless.